Merino dubbed world class by one of the Arsenal players that has gone ahead to play with him the previous season at Real Sociedad, and that is KNTN. He has talked about two players that Mikel Arteta has been really scouting from the side of Real Sociedad, and Mikel Merino has gone ahead to stand out tall to obviously be that player that Arsenal really want to come out and really sign and see to it that everything really goes on as to plan. Welcome to this channel. It is the Rokani Media Football. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? We are talking to Federico Chiesa, finally confirmed from a very credible source of Juventus, part of the management side of Juventus, that he is known into their plans. And lastly, we are going to be discussing one of your favorites, at Arsenal, who had gone ahead to break the record signing. Who had gone ahead to set the record before Declan Rice coming through. As Nicolas Pepe, he has finally found himself a team to play at. We are powered by Mono Gadgets 256. Who are Mono Gadgets? Mono Gadgets are dealers in phones from everywhere in the world and laptops, brand new. And for used phones, they get them from USA. You understand? So that is it coming through from what we call the. That we have from Mono Gadgets. You can call them or contact them on +256 70 99 88 665. Contact Mono Gadgets on +256 70 99 88 665, and that is the main man that is really doing the needful to obviously get us to where we deserve to be as a side of people who really want to get legit phones. We thank God for the gift of life, the Muslims, fresh from saloon, right? And I hope I'm really okay now. Now, let's obviously start it off with KNTN. Most of you have been asking yourselves who or what type of player is this team or this guy known as Merino. This man, while at Real Sociedad, before he left and his loan spell came to an end, he came out and told us that you have world-class players like Martin Zubimendi, Merino, and Mendes. He admitted back in February. It's known that people don't think they are good. It's just if you're only watching the Premier League every week, it's hard to know they're world-class. So, KNTN is like telling Arsenal fans that it's because you guys come in through and really watch only the Premier League, but if you had focused to watch something better than the Premier League and you're really watching the La Liga weekend in, weekend out, Merino stood out and he really looked world class. That's what this man is really telling us, and he goes by the names of KNTN. And I really don't agree with him that the guy is world class. You get? But I believe he's a very good quality player that he's yet to obviously prove to the world that whether he's world class or not. You understand? And for the side of Mikel Merino, he has the potential to be world class. That is it. But to be world class, you need to be really performing it at the best world levels ever. Because even if you're really shining at Real Sociedad, it's very hard for you to really get that world class status because Sociedad is not going to compete in tough competitions. You get? But for Merino coming into Arsenal, he'll obviously have to prove the world onto whether the vow that the guy made that his KNTN to him is really possible or not. But apart from him being world class or not, I think KNTN might have gone ahead to have a hand into the research that was made by the club of Arsenal, because Arsenal is not like Manchester United that just goes ahead obviously signing players anyhowly, not doing what we call the background research. Those nitty gritties are supposed to obviously be given a very huge attention to detail. And I think Arsenal knows that better, because when you look at the side of Manchester United, they fell a victim of very many players. For example, Jadon Sancho, he's this kind of player who at Borussia Dortmund was on the console and he played games until the morning, hence coming to the training ground late. And sometimes he came early, but he was really dozing off and his performances were not up to the standards. You understand? And that is Jadon Sancho for you. So when you look at Jadon Sancho, he's a good player, but he has a red flag, and that is a red flag that's really having. The other player is Paul Ebile Pogba at Manchester United. When they signed him, they never knew to it that he's really the luxury player. But I tell you, if at all you know exactly what it means, you cannot get any luxury player at your club, you know. So the mentality had to be tested, and I think Mikel Arteta had the best person to ask about Merino and Zubimendi about the mentality. And I think Merino stood out as the mentality beast. You get? I tell you, because through all that, through all the summer transfer window of last year, Arsenal was linked to Zubimendi and Merino was nowhere close. You get? And January transfer window, it was all about Zubimendi being linked to the club of Arsenal. You understand? So, what changed to put Merino into the mix? I think it's all about KNTNE being there and giving the manager a full report of how these players react, especially when they are really in the mix, to obviously act in training, the discipline, and so on and so forth. That is going to hit, obviously, tell Arsenal, please, let's forward go Zubimendi and let's go in for Mikel Merino. I tell you, Mikel Merino just shows you that he's really better, because when you look at the ticks of the age, Zubimendi ticks them better than Merino. Merino is like 3 years older than Zubimendi, but Arsenal have decided obviously to go in for Merino other than Zubimendi. Yet Zubimendi can better play as a CDM and as a number 8. So there is something special and something hidden that KNTNE might have gone ahead to tell the manager about Zubimendi. And the manager was like, why should I? Why should we go in for this guy and really sign him and bring him at the club of Arsenal? I think we should really find in someone else to bring up. And it was Merino who was going to tick all the boxes. But we wait and see whether when he comes in throughout Arsenal, he's really going to be world class. But as I told you at the beginning of the day, Arsenal are discussing the structure of the deal, right? Arsenal is discussing the structure of the deal for Mikel Merino. The fee has been really agreed on, right? But what is lacking? What is lacking is something simple. It's all about Arsenal really agreeing a proper deal with this other side. So from there, let's go a little bit to Italy and see what is really happening in Italy, as the manager of Juventus has gone ahead to confirm to us that Chiesa and all the other players not called up for yesterday's game against they played against which side? Let me see. They played against Brest, you know, are not part of the project. We have been clear with them. They have to find a solution, a new club as soon as possible. The decision has been made. So it's now sounded Federico Chiesa is up for sale and they want him out as soon as possible. And I believe his character has contributed to Juventus to send him out. But I think, on the other hand, you have also to think on what Chiesa went ahead to obviously tell Juventus, because Juventus were on the neck of Federico Chiesa to sign a new contract, and Chiesa was like, the only way I can sign a new contract is when you guys offer me such and such amount of money, you know, and Juventus was not willing to come out and really offer out that huge sum of money. And I think when Thiago Motta came in through, was like, these things will unsettle my dressing room and I don't want them in here anymore. And I think the best we can do for this guy is to show him the exit door. And I think it works well for a team like Juventus, because you want to reduce the huge wage bill that you are having in at Juventus. And they've been clear from the man known as Paul Ebile Pogba, because Paul Ebile Pogba didn't get the deal he wanted, and United had offered him a contract of £400,000 a week, and he turned it down, thinking that maybe he'll really get a better deal. But he never really got a better deal. And he was like, oh my God, let me get this deal where he's earning close to 180,000 euros a week. Yet United had offered him a deal that could multiply that into 3 or 4 times a week. You get? And they've been also very clear onto Rabiot. Rabiot has been wanting 160,000 pounds a week, and they told him we cannot offer that and we cannot meet it. And if at all you cannot really do the needful, then you're gonna go as a free agent. They let him go, meaning that they are willing to let in new players that are really earning not very many wages. That is really very important for the club of for the club of Arsenal. For the club of Juventus. So the side of Federico Chiesa is now looking for options, and I think now they'll take any money. He was costing, I think, is it 25 or 25 million euros? And I know teams are really going to go in for this bargain because there is a player in Federico Chiesa, but why is Juventus letting him go will be a very huge question asked by many clubs all over the world who are really willing to sign him. But I believe Aston Villa, you might get teams like Chelsea, and very many others might be linked to Federico Chiesa. And in so doing, we'll wait and see how everything will really pan out to really bring us to the levels that we deserve. That is all about Federico Chiesa, and he's one of those players that are really out of action, and everything has gone ahead not to go his way. So he's really gonna be sold. And any club, tell me, any fan club who watches this channel, tell me your thoughts about Federico Chiesa. Would you want him to play for your club? Yes or no? Now, after that, we are having Nicolas Pepe. He has signed in as a new Villarreal player on free transfer. Former Arsenal and Trabzonspor winger joins La Liga side for new chapter in Spain. So he has gone ahead, obviously, open up a new chapter in Spain. And guess what? He is really getting back. Done and dusted is the guy, and he has gone ahead to put in a very huge show in there for you. Remember, it's not the first time that the side came in for him. The side is called Villarreal. Even when he was at Arsenal with 1 year left on his contract, Arsenal showed interest in the player. Villarreal came up and showed interest in the player, but looks like the player never wanted it that way. The player's aim was to run down his contract, or see Arsenal terminate his contract, because they had failed to come to what we call a common ground. You get? They had failed to obviously come into a common ground, and the rest was history. So Nicolas Pepe signed a contract for Villarreal, and he's really gonna be trying to obviously revive his career back in the top elite leagues of Europe. And Villarreal is one of those teams that are really working hard to get in players. They've also gone ahead to sign Cambuala from the side of Manchester United, and they now have Nicolas Pepe, and he's one of those players that has to show us exactly what he's really made of as a player. And everyone will agree with me that at a certain point X, this guy was really very promising, and no one could really doubt his abilities as a player. But never say never in a player. I think he's now 28 years of age. He's trying to obviously revive his career, but is it too early, or it's not too early? You understand? That is the huge question. But I want to let you know that he is now a very real player, as you see the photos in there for you, and he's really going to be one of those players that will obviously make it to the Liga side this season. So guys, we are powered by Mono Gadgets, dealers in phones and laptops, brand new phones and UK used phones and laptops. You can call them on 256 70 9988 665. That is Mono Gadgets for you. And after calling Mono Gadgets, you'll tell me the experience, and they would have gone to give you the best advice. I've now called upon for your reactions into the comment section below about Merino. Arsenal target Merino, dubbed world class by a former, he's not a former, by an Arsenal player, KNTN, who is really injured. And we all know to it that he's one of those players that is going to be sold, but he might have gone ahead to play a very huge part in convincing Mikel Merino to obviously being changing his mind from Zubimendi to what we call Merino Mikel. What do you make about Federico Chiesa? The manager Thiago Motta has pronounced that the player is really up for sale and is not part of their plans. And lastly, Nicola Pepe joining the side of Villarreal. What really crosses your mind when you see such a deal happening into the mix? So, thank you very much for watching in. It's Rokani David in here for you. We sign out for now. See you later and continue to subscribe because we want to hit 23,000 subscribers before we obviously get to what we call 30,000 subscribers into the mix. So guys, let's continue to subscribe, and I like the vibe that you guys have gone ahead to bring nowadays. You're really watching these videos hugely, and I hope this one is also watched hugely by you guys. So 300 likes mark on this video. We out. We are going to be returning in an hour's time from now with more news and information about your favorites.